Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Hi, I'm so excited to be here. Oh my gosh.
And that is the Dan Ludwig of
The
Dan Ludwig.
There's only one of me.
That's right. And we are two bearded real estate agents who happen to be the perfect coach for a show called the Bearded Men of Real Estate. There's a cat, special guest from the cat already today. Hi, cat. Bye, cat.
Yeah. We haven't been live in a couple weeks, so it's like, dude, I need to be here.
Did I tell you we got a puppy?
No.
Yeah, we got a new puppy. So if you hear a puppy in the other room, I've got him kenneled over there. He should be super tired because he just played for like an hour and a half. So he should be pretty tired.
That's what you have to do.
Hey, Howard, thanks for checking in on the show. He checks in and says, hey. If you are watching us live, you can also comment just like he did, and then we could talk about you or your comment. We always appreciate that because we think it's going to add to a lot of the discussion. We have some really good news headlines that we're going to get into today. We're calling it Zillow's Revenge, or is it? The NAR is changing how they give money to political parties, and we'll talk about why. There's been a spike in lumber prices. We're going to talk about builder confidence. Biden, what's a big boost for builders and buyers? That's the alliteration headline of the day. And we're going to talk about Yellen and what she's going to do to the economy.
Yo, I'm just yelling.
But we're just yelling.
I can't not do a Beastie Boys impression.
Hang on just a half second here. Let's see. Let's do this. Okay. Melissa Mars, she's checking in. She says, hey guys, it's snowing here. That's cool. She also says, I want to see the puppy. I'll have to post the puppy later. He is napping right now. So I like when people talk about me, says Howard. Good. You could also check out our podcast. So we have a podcast loaded, and this show will be loaded by the end of the day to the podcast. It'll also be on YouTube with a bunch of tags and headlines. So if you're watching this, you're like, when are these guys going to get to the show? It helps if you share it because then we get to it faster whenever we see the view count go up. But the other time, the other thing that you could do is look into the description. It's going to have a headline, and then it'll have a timestamp by that headline. You just click on the timestamp, and you can zoom right to there. Lisa Perk says, as a copywriter, I have so many thoughts about Zillow controlling one of the most valuable parts of your business, and I don't mean your listings.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Early shade for our first show of 2021.
What do you mean? David Fresquez says, number one fan here. Thanks, man. Yeah, please do. He always shares the show, but please share the show, Lisa. I would love to hear more of your thoughts. We're going to get into some of that. I think is that the top story that we're going to cover? Yeah, we did not bury the lead. We're going to talk about what happened to them.
We used to do that, and then we were like, you know what? Let's just get to it.
We're going to get right into it.
Just jump right into it.
Speaking of jumping right into it, please, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll be alerted whenever we go live. You can also see all of our previous shows in a playlist called the Bearded Men of Real Estate Show. You'll also notice a playlist called Bearded Men of Real Estate Chops. And chops are like little segments of this show. So we'll cut small segments and small portions of the show and republish them for you to watch and see later. So if you don't want to watch the whole show, you can also check in that way.
Yes, Clayton. Yes.
Clayton says, can we get some BMORE Speedo swag for the summer?
My question though, if you guys haven't seen our logo, that's it. Where do we put the logo? Front or back? Side? Like a face on each side? Either way is kind of going down
for Clayton, you wouldn't need the beard. You would just have hair coming out. All right. So
well, hey, okay. No, we use the Chop logo. Oh boy, there's right. Lisa.
We digress early today. Wow. Now I'm only drinking coffee.
Yeah, Lisa coming in hot too. So I guess we're 2021. Yeah. We are now an adult
spicy.
Show.
She is spicy. All right. Are you ready to get into these headlines?
I am. You want me to tell them what the show's about?
Oh, I should probably let you tell them what the show's about.
We don't have to. They know. They've all been watching for a while.
They're checking it. Everyone here that's so far, I think. I don't think we have any new. If you're a new viewer checking it out, you should comment because we may miss something.
Yeah, there you go. If you're a new viewer, comment, and I'll tell you what the show's about.
If you don't want to know, then don't.
We know it. Ray and I have been friends for a while. I had an idea for a show. I'm bearded. He had a layout for the show. He's bearded. Ray
Right.
loves puppies. Let's get into the show.
That's right. Did you hear it? I think it just heard him. Hopefully you don't hear him doing the show.
No, but in the meantime, my cat's going to keep jumping up because she saw that I don't like it. So she's like, all right, ready?
Yeah.
We are still in the future.
Just like that, we are into the headlines. I do need to comment, though. I'm wearing these new Apple gizmos. They're so sweet.
How come they're not white?
Well, I mean, you can get black. You can get a couple of different colors with these professional prosumer grade headphones. And luckily, a great write-off. They came in just in time for me to go last week on this trip. And so I put them on, just kind of trying them on. And then I connected them to my phone. And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. I'm hearing a lot of outside noise, though. And then I accidentally hit this button. And this button right here, I don't know. Can you see this button right here? Yeah, you can see it right there.
Yeah, there you go.
When you hit this button, it makes you feel like a video game does when everything, like all the sound goes away and suddenly you're in like this slow motion moment, like this type of moment.
Whoa.
Because you hit this button and it does noise cancellation. And it's not like a normal noise cancellation where you can still kind of hear stuff. Like right now, I can hear the heater on. I can hear something kind of going on in the other room. If I touch this button, it goes bong, and all that is gone, including some of my own voice.
Wow. So do you kind of start hearing the inner ear voice thing?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It sounds like if you covered up everything, like covered up my ears and talked. That's what it sounds like. Which I guess, I mean, that's dumb. That's kind of what's happening.
Right. But it has to be.
It says she appropriately names it transparency mode versus noise canceling. Yes, that's exactly what it is. But it is Insta Zen. Yeah. You can just click the button and go, and you don't even have to be playing anything. Like I was on the airplane and I put it on, like whiny stuff happening, other kids hit the button,
Other kids.
like nothing. It was so cool. It was so cool.
Well, it has to be weird if you're not fully expecting it. Oh.
Yeah, I was not expecting, like, I thought noise canceling, but I thought that meant like when music's playing, you can't hear other stuff. No,
right.
You click that button, no other noises are coming through, including my own voice.
That's crazy.
I'm studying Apple sales pages today. Yeah, good luck. I don't think these are going to go on sale.
I've always been a little afraid of noise canceling stuff. I don't know, because I'm always wearing them when I need to hear other stuff, like on my bike or in a run or something.
Somebody could do, whoa.
Yeah, and it like tap me on the shoulder. God, don't do that.
Yeah, I would never know it. I'd never know if somebody could come through and do that. I would only see the lights.
Yeah. So for all the people that hate this stuff, don't worry. You're going to have links below. You're going to have timestamps below to get past all this jibber jabber. All right, Ray, what do we got up first?
All right, let's talk Zillow. I would say the story of 2020 is now the story of 2021. So some of you might remember that last year. It's also
our first show.
Yeah, it makes sense. Some of you may recall it sounds like a little episode recall. On last week's episode, Zillow has been basically going around the country becoming a real estate brokerage. And as they did, we were talking about what this means for real estate agents and what they're going to do. And there was a lot of speculation. Hey, they're entering the market. They've actually hired agents in some towns, et cetera. And then we saw from their press release that, yes, they actually do have some agents in some towns, but it's mainly to manage their iBuying program, which we covered 2 years ago. It's not an actual competitor for most real estate agents, but a competition for most investors who are looking for really quick fixes and flips.
Yes.
So basically everything that's come out so far, we've said, yes, they've done this, but it's not really competing with real estate agents. Yes, they've done this too, and not really competing with real estate agents. So yes, now they are a broker in my town too, in your town too, most likely. And they have their own IDX feed, and they're still maybe not competing with real estate agents. But one thing they did really hacked a lot of agents off. Let me bring up
Yeah.
this article.
And it's been interesting to see it happen, like, you know, because we both have friends all over the country, to see it happening in, guess what Zillow
Waves.
did? And then a week later, guess what Zillow did? And then a week, you know, because it's not happening all in one thing, but they're, you know, but Ray's about to get into it.
Yeah, and this is why we entitled it Zillow's Revenge, because a lot of people were freaking out about this. Zillow's shift to IDX is live, and here's what agents need to know. So this article is from Inman, which is a pretty good source for this article. They go into depth about what happened and why it happened. And so I'll let you guys kind of take a peek at that. But chances are that all of your sales data, some of your reviews, and even some agent profiles are gone from Zillow. Is this Zillow's revenge or a big hairy glitch? Neither, really. So Zillow recently switched to an IDX platform, and when it did, much of past sales history for agents vanished. And also, if there were reviews that were tied to specific sales history, some of that also vanished. And some agents that were not premier agents got their profiles deleted if they did not use the same email that is in their IDX feeds. Man, I'm rusty camera switching over here. So let's if you got to talk about it, you're pretty rusty.
Yeah.
All right. So Zillow, previously listings on Zillow came through thousands of separate feeds, which have now been pared down to about 600 different IDX feeds. When they switch to the platform, they will no longer list pre-foreclosures, which I'm celebrating because that was one of the number one calls. Hey, I want to go check out this house, and it's like it's not for sale and may not ever be for sale.
It last sold in 2011, and they're still paying their mortgage. Okay.
And if you're just joining us or a consumer, all a pre-foreclosure means is that somebody is late and they got a letter saying they're late and they may be defaulted on. That was it. So a lot of people cleared that up right away. Anyway, agents will still have placement on listings, but will be advertised as, quote, personal guides.
Which I don't, that part kind of irks me. The personal guide?
Why is that?
It's my listing. I'm not a personal guide.
Yes, but I guess they're talking about the buyer agents, not necessarily the listing agent. I wonder if it's going to list the listing agent as the listing agent themselves.
Well, that was my next question, is what happens to that? Because they had kind of and I don't know, I've never paid for Zillow, but like if you paid for it, you were on your own listing, you were the main contact, but they still had options after you, right?
Yeah, so you could click contact agent and it would go to one of those that was checked. This is kind of the weird part. Is Zillow would automatically check one of those, and you could change it as the consumer. You could go, I don't want to.
But most people didn't.
Yeah, most people didn't, or most people didn't know they could change that. So I'm not sure exactly. We'll take a live look at it in just a second, but I'm not sure exactly what the new feed, if it's kind of permanent, how they have upgraded some, and we'll take a look at that. I don't know if that's for sure or if they're waiting until they kind of clear all this stuff up. So agents will have placement on all listings, but will be advertised as personal guides. They're hoping to have past data restored by January 26th.
Dude, I think
also been some aesthetic changes recently too.
I think that part is oh no, it's gonna come back. It was a mistake, because it says earlier in the article, or as Ray stated, a glitch, a quote unquote glitch. It's not a glitch. They took it down, or it's leaving.
So do you think that was on purpose to get rid of all the agents' past sales and stuff?
Well, okay, I don't know. Let's think about this logically. Like if I have, specifically in this zip code that I'm sitting in right now, I have more past sales than any Zillow agent, would they want my sales there competing with them?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you're assuming, putting it in context, if they had their own agents and they were going to compete with you, wouldn't they want to build up their own agents and say, well, our agent sold more than this chutch?
Right. And then this is just a question that literally just popped in my head. Do they have to show my listings, or can they control that? Like the MLS, you have to show all listings. We're ethically bound to that, right?
Now they are part of that, and they do have to abide by the same rules as your local board.
On their personal, technically their website, though.
Yeah.
So they have to show my listings that I sold them, not one of their whoever pays for that zip code. And our agent's still going to pay for zip codes. But I want to go back to that one.
Oh, so all you have to do, so on our third-party site as well, all you have to do is just say, yeah, Ryan Boker's checking in. Thanks. He's one of the ones that posted this article and the one from CNBC as well.
Yeah.
But on our website, all you have to do is list that it was listed by a particular brokerage or an agent. It's just got to be like a little name. It doesn't have to be a photo or
Yeah.
David says, "Oopsies." He's talking about all the deleted,
exactly. That's
the rolling outrage that took place, says Lisa. So Ryan says IDX rules require them to disclose the listing brokerage. Yeah. Mike Elizabeth Rodell says Zillow did it intentionally.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. Because but then we're gonna get back to it. I don't know. It seems sketchy to me.
Doug's checking in. Hey, Doug. He says our brokers sold us out years ago, giving out proprietary information under the guise of the public demands it. Well, wake up, folks. They are after your job and your business. Does your brokerage advertise other brokerages' sale numbers? No.
But they're not a public. That's the thing.
Or feature other brokerage homes.
But like when someone goes to my website to see listings, buyers, they see all listings, not just my brokerages.
David says the only thing that agents do for Zillow is pay for leads and drive traffic to their site. Zillow doesn't directly compete with agents. Okay, so he's on the other side. Ramsey Stewart said, my Zillow has never been correct. Well, so that's a sticking point. Mine also has, and I always had to send the data every time we did it. I normally do a January upload, which I just did of my previous year.
But hey,
you guys are missing like 70 transactions here.
At least Zillow, they're losing stuff, but like our MLS loses stuff all the time. One of my listings from late last year is gone. I was looking at my numbers and they're just not there.
Maybe me.
Yeah, it'll be there. It'll come back. But it's not there right now.
What? Hang on, all right. Go ahead. Say that again.
Our MLS, quote unquote, loses stuff all the time. Listings will just disappear. They just won't be there, and then they're there. The data is saved somewhere, but they just won't show. I lost one of mine from late last year. I was looking at my numbers, and I was like, "Wait a second, where's that one?" It's just not there. You can't find it.
Yeah, Lisa says. Agents, y'all need to have control of all your customers' success stories. Get it off Zillow and somewhere where you can always control that data. If you don't have a follow-up email sequence for collecting reviews, get one in place. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you should have your own views and own system to get it. I'm also reviewed on Zillow, which is fine, but we have those stored elsewhere.
And it's also just a really widely trafficked website. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Clayton says it's part of their business plan to keep pushing change until they have too much pushback. Oh, I see what you're saying. Isn't it part of their business plan to keep pushing change until they have too much pushback? Will Khalil says, why does Zillow have so much control over us?
Because
display that comment. There you go.
Should we do this at the same time? That's the T, sis. By the way, up top there was David had a comment. He said Zillow's not coming after Redfin, not agents.
Oh, that where?
There
it is. Okay, it should be clear that Zillow is going after Redfin, not other agents.
And I think he is still with Redfin. So that's Redfin's take, then that's kind of interesting. I wonder what those quarterly meetings are like at Redfin. Zillow's coming after us.
Ramsey Stewart says, I've been horrible about updating my info. It's all been so confusing. We're also not seeing much Zillow activity in our market. We're seeing a lot here. David says the broker owns your client data, not agents. That's true too. And now they are a broker. Lisa Perk says, not that it's any of my business.
No, the thesis.
Yeah, the thesis. All right, so let's take a look at their website. You want to do
this live? Oh, wait, sorry.
Yeah, that looks great.
That looks awesome. Oh, sorry.
Let's look up. We have to edit. Hang on just a second. Let me look up. I'm going to look. Hang on. All right, let's look up Park City.
Can you look up one of mine? Just, while we're doing this.
Be sure to see everything. Okay. We'll see everything. All right, so this is Park City, which I was just at last week. So you got to check out my Instagram if you want to see some cool outfits. All right, here's a little house for $895,000. So let's click there and see what agent data we see. So it gives me an option to contact agent or take a tour.
Ooh,
Whenever you take a tour, I believe that will give you the option for a 360 tour or one that is from an agent, that kind of thing.
Wait, so would a consumer see the overview, time on Zillow, views, saves?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so it's not just because you're logged in as you.
No, no,
Okay.
I think this is it. So you see the bottom, it says the source, the PCBR, MLS number, also listed at utahrealestate.com. Zillow last checked the data. Data was published.
Are you logged into Zillow right now or no? Is this just on Zillow?
This is just on Zillow.
So you're not logged in as Ray.
No, I'm looking at this as a consumer.
Okay, cool.
One of the things I noticed is that there's no photos anymore.
Of the agent, you mean?
Yeah, there used to be like several agents.
I mean, that benefits me. I'm fine with that.
Oh, look, here it is, your personal guides.
Aha.
So there's the agent photos. Get to know the neighborhood, find an amazing local agent, right? Make sure your offer is ready.
Can you scroll back up? Who is the actual? It said listed by or presented by. Who was? Go back up.
First, I can't click on either one of these people, which I think that's interesting. There they are. Click this button, and now I see them.
But I want to know who the actual listing agent is.
Okay.
Can you go back?
Yeah, I'm there now. Loading. All right, so
there's Scott.
Where are you?
Oh, they're right there, listed by.
All right, so there's the listed by information. It's right below. So you basically, it's pushing you to this, take a tour with a buyer's agent before it's no longer advertising the face, right? So now it's changed these personal guides down here. It's also added a lender. Now, one of the curious aspects to this is one of the reasons I advertise on Zillow is so that my friends see my head, my little avatar, whenever they're looking on Zillow. It's a great little source. I only advertise in one little zip code, which is where I live. And because of that, that was positive advertising for me. So now the fact that they're taking off the faces and this is super tiny. Like I'm on a huge screen and that's super tiny.
It's very, I don't wonder if they're doing that because it's easier to adopt to the phone, to the scrolling, because it looks like you're scrolling on a phone, essentially.
It does. I don't know. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah. So here's the thing, like with me, what I've noticed since, because as I push more and more into I'm trying to be a bigger, more a busier agent, a more higher producing agent. I get more and more me as I do. I kind of, the hair's growing, the beard's growing and everything. So my image is very important to me. I need people to see me up front so they know what they're getting into. Because if, I know what I'm talking about. I know how to be a real estate agent. I know how to sell a house, buy a house, all that stuff. So if you talk to me, that's one thing. But sometimes I can be a little shocking when you meet me in person. So I kind of need that there. I make the jokes about I want people to see my face and stuff, but I have a big dumb.
I do want people to see my face. I mean, one of the reasons why I have a beard is because it's a differentiator.
Yeah, exactly. And I also have like a thumbs up. If you've never seen my profile, if you look at my profile pic on Facebook, it's a thumbs up and it's a different vibe. So I really want that out there. So now that this is gone, that's kind of a thing.
Yeah. I think if enough premier agents said, hey man, you got to make our faces bigger, they probably would. Ryan says, I don't get too worked up over Z here in Houston. Our board has the best, most visited site in the market. Well, currently, but now that they're entering as a player, they may start to take over and take a little more share. So,
but how long are we going to say this? How long is it going to take for us to say, NAR, do what HAR has done? It's already in place. They have the model there. Can't they just
we already have all these IDX feeds, and now Zillow just did what we've been telling them to do for years.
Right. So
combine all the IDX feeds that you have. You don't need anything else. David brings up a fantastic point. He said, share the show, peeps. Let's break 50. Is it really that many shares already? Are we close to 50 shares? That's pretty cool. Mike Elizabeth Rodell said, and for sell by owners now have to pay listing fee. Oh, they do? Yeah. I thought that was only if they were listing rentals. They have to do one for sell by owners?
I think I read that somewhere. And then rentals as well, which rentals isn't a new thing. I think we covered in August or something, but it's
fee for rentals is newer.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I looked up articles and it was a little older, but I think it's getting to all the markets now because I've seen posts about it. Like, what? Now they're charging. Yeah.
Yeah. Clayton brings up the point that we were just making. If NAR had built a good website for a consumer, we wouldn't even know about Zillow.
And by the way, I still think it's possible. Even Zillow has pushed this far. I think we could push right back because honestly, for the longest time, we've kind of said it's so it's going to be difficult. They're so archaic, but it's really not. Now that we think about it, HAR has it built out. Let's just copy their model, pay Clayton and Ryan what they're worth.
Ryan says, but in mass realtors would never pay enough extra dues to support the cost it would require to run a site like that.
Yeah, it would.
Maybe. I mean, we already pay a ton. I mean, we collectively pay more to our NAR than Zillow.
Yeah, and how much? Yeah, by the way, think about that. Okay, let's go crazy with this, right? Like, forget dues, like because we pay about $1,000 a year is my dues. I just paid them $1,088 or something for the whole year, and that's local board, MLS, NAR, all that stuff, right? Now let's think about this. What if all those agents that pay $1,500, $2,500 a month, $5,000 a month on Zillow, what if they took that and put it back? Say you get all the same stuff, but your features on NAR's website, consumer-facing website. We would have plenty of, and more consumers would visit it instead of, I don't know, does NAR even have a website? And
Realtor.org, right? It's not .com. Clayton says pressure should be on NAR to improve and step up.
I'm just saying, like, that would, the money's there. The money's there. So I get it. Someone said, or I don't know who said it about the dues, but I would gladly pay more dues, by the way, because I'm willing to bet that part of the dues we pay are misdirected somewhere, maybe towards a $250,000 logo, but we take that and put it towards a brand new website. There's
so much politics and fluff right now that there's so much waste. We need to get rid of the waste and actually do something to support the agents.
100%. I think
Melissa brings up a great point. They should just smack masks on all of us because they aren't seeing our faces right now anyway. Dan Lug would preach different stands out. Let's see. Ryan says we can't all be Houston.
Ooh, $350.
Fizbo to post is $350. Jonathan Brandish says Zillow should charge less. Pictures are smaller, requires 2 clicks to reach us now. It's basically a true round robin. So it's not round. Well, I guess it is round robin according to who's paying. But when you go to the Zillow website, let me bring that back up. When you go to the Zillow website, that form, the main contact form right here, this goes to those agents that are listed down here, but not all at the same time. So it's according to who's paying most. Now, previously did that anyway. It was just a checkbox that was checked for you. And then you had to say whether or not you wanted to change that out or not. So previously, that's kind of where it stands. Let me come back to us here. But thanks for, is that your first comment, Jonathan? I think maybe you commented one time before, but
I remember the last name for some reason. But hey, thank you so much for that. And also, go watch us on YouTube live and comment. It's good.
Bradish.
I would say Bradish.
Bradish.
Well, Radish
is kind of cool because you're like kind of Brad. Are you Brad? I'm Bradish.
I'm Brad-esque.
All right, Melissa Morris says rentals.
Jonathan is kind of Bradish, you know.
Yeah, that's right. HER makes it work for a website with their dues. Okay. All right. So that's kind of the update on Zillow. Really not much has changed. The source of their data has changed. The way they're displaying agents on their page has changed. Other than that, it's still kind of the same.
Well,
now, there was some discussion a couple of weeks ago whether or not they are allowed to sell ads to real estate agents using the IDX data feed. So that's an interesting question right now because now they are using the IDX feed as their primary feed because we were like, well, what if they just receive the IDX feed but still use all these other sources and they're selling ads against those other sources? They wouldn't be obligated. But if they're just only getting this IDX feed now, and that's what they're using, then there are some MLS rules that say you can't sell ads against that stuff. So I don't know how they're going to manage that part of it.
Well, also, do they have to abide by, or are they going to abide by the coming soon? Because literally anything, if you haven't put in the MLS, or if you're not going to, like if I post a picture with my new listing, that, you know, that I signed the contract, I have the contract signed, but I haven't put it in the MLS because I don't even have pics yet. That technically that now I'm publicly advertising that house, right?
Right.
So I need to get that in the MLS. I think it's 1 day. So are they going to abide by that too?
They would have to. I mean, they're brokers.
Yeah.
And also that means that other brokers can't disparage them because of your fun ethics and stuff.
I love it. Well, I did
about
say
another agent.
Yeah.
So y'all did that to yourselves. I'm just saying that's the stupidest rule ever. If somebody's a shark or a snake in the grass, you should be able to tell people about it, but whatever.
Oh, we still will.
That's called protectionism, by the way. So Vincent Klingnicht says, what would you call this site? The Realtor.com name has sailed, and I'm sure we'll hear from Rupert Murdoch if we have something that competes with R.com.
Well, we had this conversation. We do have a BMORE contributors group and then a little messenger group. So if you're not part of that, it's BMORE contributors with an exclamation point. We had this conversation, and the Realtor.com is licensed to.
Right.
So I don't know how long it's hard to find. Clayton has looked for it. It's hard to find how long this license is for or what the terms of it are, but eventually that's going to come back. And if it's in a year or two from now, why don't we start planning with a new model and launch it all at once? I mean, no brainer here on the Bearded Men Real Estate Show, but
we also own dumbledoors.com for the Wizards of Real Estate. So that's an option. Just
hey, we will take on that burden. If NAR wants to contact us, we will talk about taking on that burden.
Jonathan said, "It's round robin based on payment." I get that. Just value of seeing my reviews and / picture. Yes, you do have a good picture. That's a good picture. Good face. You got a good face for real estate. Oh, he said it's Radish with a B. Bradish.
There you go. So he is Bradish.
Realtor in Alaska. AK. Yeah. I always get mail that's marked AK because
everyone thinks Arkansas is
it's not. We're also not AZ. Somebody did that the other day.
The last thing, because I know we're going to move on to the next story, but the last thing is, what's up with the data? Is it coming back or is it not? Did they do this on purpose or did they not?
I don't think they did this on purpose. I think it was just part of what happens whenever you cleanse your data feed and renew to a new feed. You have to update all of that info, and they still have it. They say, hey, if your info is gone, you should send an email to past sales at Zillow or whatever it is. I can't remember the email address with a list. And I had to do that every year anyway. So
yeah,
I'm not seeing any difference because it's still just as wrong as it was.
It's not any different.
Every year I had to send an email to them to update it, and then I would forget, and half the year would go by and it'd show 12 sales when I had like 80. Like, come on now.
And then you'd send another email and go, damn, I forgot again.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So speaking of the NAR, we know they are busy supporting us, right? What else are they doing, Dan?
Well, in a reversal, the National Association of Realtors pauses federal political donations in the wake of the Capitol attack. After initially not committing, I think I said initially, not committing to no longer donating money to the campaigns of lawmakers who voted against certification of Joe Biden's win for the presidency after the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, the National Association of Realtors is suspending all federal political donations amid calls from some members for changes to its political action committee. That is a long sentence. So anyway, they're suspending donations through their RPAC. The Realtors Political Action Committee makes direct contributions to national. Hello, what?
What?
What happened?
Nothing. What?
Okay, nothing.
Sorry.
They make direct contributions to national, state, what?
Huh?
And local political candidates with the voluntary contribution of its members. What? The RPAC Board of Trustees makes decisions on funding for federal candidates. This is a quote from NAR's spokesperson, Wes Shaw. Following last Tuesday's meeting of the RPAC Board of Trustees, our association is temporarily pausing federal political disbursements. NAR will continue to closely monitor events in Washington in the days and weeks ahead in order to ensure our political participation most closely represents the will of our realtor members and best interests of American real estate. They did say, hold on, I scrolled somewhere. They do say, I'm going to finish with a little quote and stuff or a little bit more about it, but they do say that it was essentially that they're nonpartisan. It's 51%. I guess all through 2020, it was 51% Democrat and 49% Republican. And then it just goes based on those politicians that have the best interest for realtors and the housing market at hand. So NAR has long maintained that RPAC hasn't favored Democrats or Republican, but rather backs candidates who support the quote unquote realtor party, which is in practice means incumbent Democrats and Republicans with a track record of standing behind government subsidies for homeownership and other real estate friendly policies. But over the years, some members have also expressed dissatisfaction with this stance at the expense of all other issues. RPAC is gearing up to be a battleground as some members question RPAC funds going to lawmakers who nonetheless insisted on voting against certification after the Capitol siege. Dozens of corporations, including Zillow and Airbnb, have announced that they would either withhold donations from those lawmakers or, like NAR, freeze their federal political contributions entirely.
All right. So,
irregardless, yeah.
Irregardless.
Dissatisfaction. Just a funny side note, I always try to find words instead of, because dis and ear mean, a negative connotation of that next word. So I always try to find fun ways to add dis and irregardless before words. It's just funny how my brain works, I guess. So dissatisfaction is funny to me.
I've always been dissatisfied by how RPAC is run, which is why I don't give them my money.
Yeah, and you're one of the voluntary
non-contributors, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting they say that, but I can't remember. Did they support the president, Trump? Because it seems as a former realtor, he would have been supportive in his policies, especially a real estate mogul. But I can't remember what they did. Now this is also interesting to me because there's a lot of hubbub in the news made out of about these Republicans that vote against the certification. But what many of them voted for was an independent committee set up, which was done in the 1800s to verify an election back then too. But to have an independent committee set up to hear the cries of all these people that were saying there's election fraud, and then to look into it and say, yeah, we've looked into it. There's no election fraud. While on the Democrat side, they're like, no, don't set up the committee. There's no election fraud. Let's just keep going. And so the fact that they're pulling funding from everyone makes me happy because I think that's probably appropriate. But
it goes along with their, if those numbers are true, because the numbers are from NAR, but it said 51 Democrat and 49, and that's a 49 Republican. That's a very close.
It's pretty close.
It's not leaning heavily one way, so it could have easily gone to the right or to the left.
But it interests me that now they're wanting to focus support. That last sentence that you read, about making it not just about property, which, in my opinion, it should just be about property. That should be the only thing that they're looking out for because that's all they do.
Well, and it's how it should be.
What they add stuff else, as soon as you start to take into consideration other things, then you're opening yourself up just to be a lobbyist for one side or the other.
Right. And they have to be careful because if this politician, no matter what side, what party, and by the way, we're not only a two-party system. I just want to let you guys know that we have other parties out there. I'm going to keep saying that until we realize we're not a two-party system. But if somebody supports, hey, we need A, B, and C for lower income housing, middle of the road income housing, homelessness, all this stuff. Cool. We support them. Don't care what side you're on. Here's a donation. I mean, as long as they keep doing that, then it's pretty bipartisan, right?
Yeah. Brian Boker says NAR is never given to presidential campaign funds.
But they have supported moves, right?
Yeah. Let's see.
As far as backing goes, just not financially.
National Association of Realtors.
Boom. Clayton, right there. Clayton, best. There you go. Other than the let's get 50 shares, that's a great comment by David.
Politicians and build our website with the money. Yeah,
boom.
Not a bad idea. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they're smarter than we think. Maybe that's what they're doing.
Yeah, maybe not. But Rave, you've covered on the show before, or said it on the show before, as far as like, because I was kind of asking, why do we need to do this? Why are we needing to donate here or there? But it kind of, it's a subtle reminder, like, hey, we're still here. We're going to boost and we support your decision, you know?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Hold on.
Howard says, I use the term positive dissatisfaction.
Yeah. It's like negative reinforcement.
Okay. So, I mean, okay, they're pulling funding now. They're blaming the Capitol insurrection. I mean, I think we can all recall earlier in the year when federal buildings were also attacked, but whatever. I mean, I'm jaded, I guess. Ryan Boker says NAR has no idea how to run a tech company. Anyone remember RPR in the early days? Yeah, but right now it's a lot better. I mean, Zillow has like a 20-year head start.
Right. And
not really. When did 2012 when they came out or something like that? So like 8 years.
I thought it was like 2007.
Was it?
But
I can't remember. So it is coming up on that then.
But
so,
I mean, there's plenty of big tech CEOs just laying around out there that we could hire.
Plenty of MLSs around the country that could get it figured out. But he said NAR doesn't run RPR anymore. Yeah, but there are plenty of MLSs around the country who do, and that they can partner with to get it done. I mean, I think saying that they're more of a meaningless political organization, which if that's the case, then we just all need to pull our funds and start something else, which we've said several times on the show.
Yeah.
If they don't have the power to do it, if they can't figure it out with the millions of dollars we give them, then what the heck are we doing?
Well, and it goes back to the same thing. If you don't like how a company is spending their money or the product they're putting out, don't give them any money.
Right.
They'll stop making that product. People stopped giving money to the Kardashians and their show went away. Like,
they really?
I'm just kidding.
Or are you? Oh, sorry.
I just don't.
Are people not giving money to them though? That's news to me. I mean, I'm not on entertainment news at all.
I'm not.
We got our first TV in like 4 years recently. So,
yeah, I'm totally just making things up for sensationalism on our show because we were we are sensationalists. Is that a word? We are dear sensationalist.
All right. So speaking of building,
sensationalistic.
There's been a spike in lumber prices and land prices, which has caused home builder confidence to fall from an epic high, man.
Okay. Let's just take note. It's caused it to fall from an epic high. Now let's see if it's really that dramatic. Let's just see.
It is a fall of epic proportions. Builder confidence soared just 2 months ago to 90. Anything above 50 is positive, but now has fallen all the way to 83.
Remember in the early days of the show, we were reporting it was like, wasn't it like 61, something like that? It's at 83. And then when it dipped, it got into the 50s. It's at 83. That's hugely positive. I mean, come on.
Well, let's talk about what's caused this massive turnaround.
Oh, boy.
What was the reason for the change? Here's a quote from NAHB chairman Chuck Folk. He's a home builder from Tampa, Florida. He says builders are grappling with supply side constraints related to lumber and other materials cost, the lack of affordable lots, and labor shortages that delay delivery times and put up upward pressure on home prices. CNBC reported that of the Index 3 components, current sales conditions dropped 2 points to 90. Sales expectations in the next 6 months fell 2 points to 83, and buyer traffic fell 5 points to 68. While housing continues to help lead the economy forward, Limited inventory is constraining more robust growth. That's the NAHB chief economist, Robert Dietz. A shortage, he goes on to say, a shortage of buildable lots is making it difficult to meet strong demand, and rising material prices are far outpacing increases in home prices, which is harming housing affordability. So there you have it, folks. We do have a issue with the supply side, which we've been talking about since the fall of 2016. We've been talking about on our show since we've started the show. And it looks like builders are trying to find places to build, but they can't. So, Dan, would this be a time in which developers might be a good investment, or maybe even starting developments may be a good idea if affordable buildable lots are an issue?
Yeah, and what level of builder? Is it little lots where you can fit 5 homes on, or is it 5? Does it have to be 5,000? Like, I don't know how all that works.
Runs the gambit. It's probably not on the luxury side, but in the bottom 2/3 of the market, I think if you could produce a quality home, even a smaller home, and you could produce several of them that are pretty close together, you're probably going to sell them pretty quickly in this market.
Yeah.
The 3D printing guy, you remember him? Maybe he started 3D printing the stuff.
Well, especially in that low, because I can tell you here, the bottom end of the market is, it quickly rises. So it's going away quicker and quicker. I'm lucky to have clients that are pre-approved for the budgets they need. But the lower end is quickly rising, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's the affordability crisis that we've been talking about for a long time. But if the problem is the land and labor and materials, that's all 3 of those things. I'm wondering why the builder confidence is so high if they really are having those difficulties. Because, I mean, if they're that hard pressed, then it should mean that their confidence is super low, but it's not. Their confidence is super high. So they're seeing something. They're able to get it done somehow. So the question is, what are they doing, or why are they so positive? So I think the article could have had a different spin on it. Like, why are builders so positive despite land, labor, and materials all being high?
And maybe it's lagging, though, because of the holiday and all that stuff. Maybe it's lagging a little bit. Maybe they're waiting to see what happens with the new president. Because don't you have something coming up?
There may be something coming up.
I just teased too much. I'm a tease, though. By the way, I literally just text my buddy who is part of new construction. He starts the project all the way through the end. So he's a good one. And he knows CEOs at builders. So
okay.
We're trying to get him or
it'd be great to get him on the show.
One of his friends on the show. We're gonna try to wait till the end of hopefully there'll be kind of year-end numbers for new builds.
Yeah.
We want to wait till it's there so it kind of coincides, but we are working on that because that would be, I don't do any really new construction stuff. Ray might do a little bit more, but we're still limited in that kind of early on knowledge and what's the future of it. Because my buddy has some really interesting takes. It's very interesting.
If land, labor, and materials are all up, then I guess the only thing they're able to hold on to is the low interest rates. Well, are those going to continue, Dan? That was a good handoff.
Oh, sorry. I had one more point to make, but he just handed it off to me. This is my brain working right now. Okay, but he just handed it off to me. So weekly mortgage refinance demand drops 5% after rates hit highest level since November.
Oops.
All right, guys. I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to read this as it's written. I'm going to read this in a very somber tone because this article kind of states that there's doom and gloom happening. So you ready?
Right now.
Yeah. So record low mortgage rates may now be a headline of the past. Now, several weeks of rising rates are dousing what was incredibly high demand for refinancing. That pulled total weekly mortgage application volume down 1.9% last week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association's seasonally adjusted index. Now, the average contract interest rate for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage increased all the way to 2.92. The average rate on a 15-year fixed, it rose to 2.48. That's the first rise in 7 weeks. Things are horrible, guys. With higher rates now offering less potential savings, applications to refinance a home loan fell 5% for the week. Like, what are we going to do here? Because they were only 87% higher than a year ago. So this stuff drives me so insane. That's how the article read. Record low mortgage rates now may be a headline. They may be a thing of the past. Like, we'll never see this again, guys. They were only 87% higher than a year ago. It just drives me nuts. It just drives me insane. So
and it's almost as if that sells papers or something.
It's almost if that does. But that's why we exist, to get past these headlines. And it does throw in the last little line here. That annual comparison had been more than 100% just last week. Like,
there you go. Is this better background music for the...
Yeah, the average... We keep going. Demand from homebuyers, however, increased despite the higher rates. Mortgage applications to purchase home rose 3%. Oh, wait, this is positive. Hold on, Ray, hold on.
We're probably going to get docs now for the what's called the... No, actually, that's Chopin, so that should be past. That should be good. Past copyright.
But then, as you as you read on the article, so demand from homebuyers, now it goes to the homebuyer side, however, increased despite the higher rates. Mortgage applications to purchase a home rose 3% for the week and were 15% higher than a year ago. By the way, we're in January and it's still increasing, 3% for the week and 15% for the year. The Rona spurred strong demand for larger suburban homes. Despite the vaccine rollout, that demand does not appear to be abating. The biggest hurdles for home buyers right now are high prices and record low inventory of homes for sale. This is a quote from Joel Kahn. The home buyers in early 2021 continue to seek newer, larger homes. The average loan size for purchase loans jumped to $384, the second highest level in the survey, which dates back to 1990. So the incoming Biden administration is preparing to make multiple moves in the housing market that could favor both home buyers and builders. Mortgage rates, however, started the week flat, as traders are likely awaiting the first major economic policy announcements before making a move.
Matthew Glenn said you turn the lights down and a cigar with that music.
No, it's just as I was reading it, I was like, you know what? I got to translate this to the show, because that's just what it sounds like. You know what, guys? I'm sorry to tell you this, but record low mortgage rates may now be a headline of the past. We may never see this again.
I'm surprised that they're saying this. I guess it is. There is one day left to deliver some bad news before the changing administration. But
yeah,
I'm surprised they're looking at the interest rates as a negative thing, because a lot of times you'll see when it is a president that they like who's taking office and rates are going up, they'll talk about how it's a stronger economy and that's why rates are going up, because they anticipate more people going back to work and they need to get rid of inflation, right? So that's normally kind of the headlines that you see, which they didn't really talk about much. So I was kind of shocked about that.
Well, and I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see, like, months from now, what do these articles look like? Not on the day of inauguration. Right. But it's also interesting just to see. I don't know. It's just funny. It's just funny to me, is how I'll say it.
Speaking of inauguration, Biden wants to give a boost to home buyers and builders. That's the alliteration headline of the day. So let's take a look at this. There's a little bullet point in here that I want to get to. And basically, I want the opinion of those of you who are watching the show. Will this work or will it not work? There used to be, oh man, was it Dave Letterman that used to have the Will It Float segment? Do you remember this segment on Dave Letterman or was it Conan O'Brien? Where they would take a thing and they would put it in the water and they would say, will this float or won't it float? And people would guess, and then they put it in the water and it would float or not float. So we'll play
Letterman.
Okay, so let's play Will It Float or Won't It Float with Biden's policy.
And let's start with a brick of cheese. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, pretty much. $15,000 first time home buyer tax credit. Will it float? What do you think? Is that going to work? A $15,000 first time home buyer tax credit. Well, is that going to help home buyers or home builders and boost the housing economy?
Well, let's say bye to Howard first of all. Bye, Howard. Thanks for joining, buddy.
Bye, Howard. He's saying bye.
He has to go.
See you later, man.
I think he has to go to sleep now.
He probably has less care about this current topic, seeing as how he's not in our country.
Right. I don't know.
Brian Bookrow says, yeah, home buyer tax credits worked so well last time it was tried.
Forward / sarcasm. I just don't know how it would work. It would be great, right? I think a lot of these things that you're about to read are in theory, right? But I want to know how it would work.
Well, they're going to give $15,000 to people who buy a home for the first time.
Okay.
A tax credit.
But like where I want to add, like, is it income limited? Is it anyone? So if you make $4 million a year, are you going to get a $15,000 tax credit?
It is a home buyer tax credit, which would be assessed immediately by the buyer, thereby serving as down payment assistance.
Okay. Now, what if my taxes are $4,000 a year?
A tax credit could exacerbate inventory shortage. Let's see.
No, I think if it can work, if
I'm trying to find their opinion on it. They're not really sharing an opinion whether it would work or not. First time buyers are defined as those who have not purchased a home in the last 3 years.
Oh, that's interesting.
That made up 32% of all November buyers, according to the National Association of Realtors. Historically, that share is closer to 40%. Huh. So, home buyer tax credit. Let me get to some of the comments.
Yeah, is it Elizabeth? I assume it is her.
They had a first-time home buyer tax credit way back when. It was $8,000. Is it house price dependent or income dependent? Yeah, I don't think those were either. I think it was just first-time buyers. So the question is, would it have the same impact as subsidies do? For instance, if there's a widget and it's for sale and this maker is making 1,000 widgets and then the government says, hey, this is a good product. We're going to give people $5,000 to go buy your widget. What happens to the price of the widget? Generally, it increases, generally $5,000. So would this increase prices again? Like this article kind of says, it may exacerbate the supply issue, which would raise prices.
But if there's still no supply and more people want to take advantage of the low interest rates, which are waning, by the way, we're all going to die, and you get a tax credit, like, won't that bring more buyers to the market?
Yeah, that's a huge question. All right, Jonathan Bradish.
Yeah,
right. He says buyers are already riding a great rate. In certain states have first-time home buyer programs already, discounted rates and rebates. We need to support builders. Haha, first-time home builder.
Yeah.
I'm sure those would be problem-free. Yeah, that's funny.
A good one.
First-time home builder tax credit.
I haven't built a home in the last 3 years.
So from what I'm getting from the comments and also just kind of from history, it doesn't really serve to fix the issue in housing, which is supply side currently.
That's what that would be. So in theory, yes, it could work, but how though is my big question. So I can't really say it. I guess I would say no, it won't work. It can't work. It could, it's a great thing to put on a piece of paper and tell people you're going to do, though.
Yeah. Wait, it just garbled. Hang on. Okay. And then, all right, so let's go to the next one. Urging big banks to get back into FHA lending. Okay. So how would big banks taking on more FHA loans or FHA loans taking a greater role for large banks impact the current housing issues?
But that would. So wait, is FHA not available to a chunk of the market?
Well, there's a bunch of big banks that have that don't want to do them.
Well, but that's fine to me. I don't send any of my buyers to big banks anyway.
Let's see. The FHA program shows exceptional profitability, which is much better than expected, and provides the Biden administration an opportunity to cut prices. Okay, translated. Trump made money with FHA. Now Biden can go in and slash the prices. Biden, that will really help entry-level homeowners, particularly minority homeowners, who turn to the FHA program more often. Not only does it help housing, how does that help housing? But it also helps the Biden administration deliver some of its social justice priorities. I don't know how that helps housing. All right, so you give people a tax credit and make the money they do have to borrow cheaper. So, and all of this is done in the bottom 1/3 of the market.
I also would like to ask, where's the money coming from?
Oh, that's you, buddy. Whenever you pay taxes, that's where the money comes from.
Is it?
That's how it works, my friend.
Explore that one.
Where did we get a comment? All right, so Dusty, she says my FHA and VA loans are not competitive offers right now.
Right, okay. But if your buyers are limited to VA, I have both happening right now, VA and FHA clients. If that's what they can go with, does the credit help them because they can put more down, or?
Basically, so there's a 1.75% funding fee on the back of a FHA loan, if I'm not mistaken, right? Mm-hmm. So is that going to make that funding fee less expensive? Is that where the less expense comes from, or is it from the closing costs?
But I would say closing costs. But remember, they still can't go over the 3%. Well, I don't know if it's a California
thing. FHA loan, they can do up to 6% closing costs paid by seller, but
on a $300,000 house, that 15 grand is, I guess, 5%, right?
Yeah. Mike Elizabeth Brodell says the help politicians dole out isn't focused on the people that actually need it. Who is paying for this? Dusty says even if they are qualified and it's easy to get qualified, there are a ton of buyers in my market with cash and conventional loans with more liquid assets that will bid over the offer and come out of pocket with cash several thousand over appraisal. So my VA FHA buyers aren't getting homes.
It's definitely more.
So how is this fixing the issue of $15,000 tax credit and encouraging big banks to do FHA loans? I'm not seeing it. All right, so let's go to the next one. Encouraging.
You guys want to see a live? I just got a seller multiple counter for my VA offer. You want to see it?
Wait, what? No. What's it say?
Well, I'm curious because we came in very strong. So sorry, keep going on. I'm just going to read this.
Okay. All right. So the third thing is encouraging new construction of both single and multifamily housing.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they encouraging more construction? Let me find that section of this article, see if there's any specifics. It doesn't really get into the specifics of that one. So that one's a kind of a vague proposal. I'm sure it's going to be some kind of credits or something to home builders, maybe some kind of tax credits or tax breaks to home builders that are building certain single family, multifamily housing. But that part is not really hashed out very well. So that's the one thing that affects supply side. See, Melissa Marr says, maybe. That is the one thing that could affect supply side economics, which could take some of the pressure off of both affordability and off of home prices and off of the supply as far as people not being able to find what they're looking for, etc. But there's no real details. These are just kind of ideas, proposals that he's putting forth right now.
Yeah, and that's awesome. You know, you got to do that. But again, so two things is it actually possible? And you know, I always like to go back when they write there. Here's what do they do the first 100 days, right? Yeah. Here's what I'm gonna do the first 100 days. I like to go back on day 101 and go, well, you did one of those things. That's cool.
Yeah. That's one thing I was actually surprised that Trump did so much in the first 100 days.
Well, he was super stoked just to sign stuff and show everyone on the book. So he didn't care what he was doing. He was like, dude, put a thing in front of me that if it's from my 100 days list, sure, put it in front of me. I'm going to do it. Look at.
All right. So strengthening the Community Reinvestment Act, which is intended to help low and moderate income areas.
So so we have a homeless issue here in California.
No.
And LA is trying to do something about it. And they're trying to take monies that are usually allocated to these things. They're trying to allocate them to that. And they're actually working. They're actually building homes for these people. Now, I don't think they're addressing, I think they're Band-Aid fixing it instead of addressing the real problem, which I'm not going to get to on the show because it's kind of a personal opinion, which you can't talk about personal opinions live anymore unless, well, I guess when I go live, I talk about mine.
You can.
Dang it. Anyway, I love Zillow, by the way. I just have to say that. They're a competing brokerage. But so it's awesome. But then what is the real problem to fix it? So this is the kind of same thing. Are these Band-Aid fixes just to go, look at these cool things I'm doing? But it's really just going to kind of, what's that stuff where the dude slaps over the hole of water? What's that stuff called?
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about, though.
Like there's still holes in the dam, but it's I mean, you're stopping it with a very, very powerful substance, but there's still holes in your dam. Like,
well, and so one of the big problems with the Community Reinvestment Acts is although their intention is to improve these lower income areas, what winds up happening is gentrification.
Yeah. When
prove it, then you have actual builders and developers coming in that say, hey, this area looks better. Let's develop and build in it. And then people who were living there once can't afford it, and they also can't afford to rent in that area.
Yeah, and that's mainly what has happened. You know, I guess you could call it the Silver Lake boom, you know, the hipsters and stuff, where a lot of people moved into Silver Lake. That became a cool place to live. And now what it's done is which is cool because so there's two parts to it. It's excuse me. I'm going to burp. It's reinvigorated areas that were previously, a little rougher, but now homes in these areas are crazy expensive. So for people that have lived there for 50 years or they have the family home still, that's awesome. It helps increase their property value unless they haven't been able to update the home. So now that still stays lower, but are they ever going to sell? And then if they do, can somebody actually afford to buy that house that's not a flipper, an investor, or so on?
Ryan Bocro says the law of unintended consequences, which is exactly it. Vince, he's got the answer for it. It's flex paste.
Flex tape, I think what it is. Flex seal, flex tape. Flex.
Dusty Martin says that most offers are for asking, no closing costs, so it just makes it harder on my clients. I had one rejected over the weekend that offered $35,000 over asking, and one who offered, and the one who offered the same, no closing costs, concessions, and offered $20K over appraisal, and that was against 15 offers. Wow. Jonathan says FHA and VA can be more competitive if appraisals relax and stipulations or contingencies to sellers don't deal with all the nitpicking. A little bit of chipped paint needs to be corrected in December. Yeah. So basically, for those of you who may be watching that don't know, FHA and VA appraisals are a little more strenuous. Sometimes they'll pick out something like a handrail that needs to be put in, and sellers just don't want to deal with it. So they wind up going with a conventional mortgage with an appraiser who's a little more relaxed.
Now, I want to add to that because I work a lot of different price points that go from $300,000, well, $250,000, $300,000 all the way up to 1.2 million. So for me specifically, where it's easier in the lower end market to get an FHA offer accepted because you're more competing with that. You know, there's more of those and less of you'll still do with all cash, but there's more first time buyers that are going FHA that you're competing with. But when you get into the 600s, 700s and 800s, it's really difficult. Well, sorry, 6 and 7s. It's difficult because then you get into the 20% down, the conventional and the all cash and stuff. And by the way, the counter offer, they want no appraisal contingency.
Is that what they said? See?
Yeah.
Dusty Martin says, true that FHA, VA nitpicking is a big fear for sellers here. Yeah.
You can get around it, but I can't say how because it's bad.
Well, one of the ways that the inventory may be loosed is if there are fewer buyers in the marketplace due to further economic changes from one Janet Yellen, perhaps.
I'd be yelling. So Yellen vows economic shakeup if confirmed for Treasury. And I do have this article open because it kind of goes into a lot of detail. This is on I just pulled kind of highlights so we can chat about it and maybe get some thoughts on it. But if you want, this is from housingwire.com, by the way, not .org, like realtor.org, which is super legit. I don't know if you guys can sense my sarcasm, but ensuring Americans have a quote unquote competitive economy will be Janet Yellen's focus as the next U.S. Treasury Department Secretary. She told lawmakers Tuesday at her confirmation hearing before a vote on her nomination. Both Republicans and Democrats have indicated they will approve Yellen's Treasury Secretary nomination. This is a quote, "I think there will be a dual mission, helping Americans endure the final months of this Rona pandemic and keeping people safe while getting them back to work, Yellen said in a prepared statement. And she continues to say, that's our first task. But then there is a longer term project. And this is where it kind of gets interesting. We have to rebuild our economy so that it creates more prosperity for more people and ensures that American workers can compete in an increasingly competitive global economy." So just hold your thoughts there. Yellen's nomination is expected to appeal to Democrats, Republicans, and Wall Street, all of which have worked with and expressed admiration for Yellen in the past. She would be among the few Biden cabinet picks likely to pass a nomination hearing with comparatively few bumps and bruises. Here's a quote, "Yellen is a solid pick who can help steer the economy forward, calm the market when necessary, and is unlikely to introduce any controversial policy surprises," said Lawrence Yun, National Association of Realtors chief economist. And then he goes on to say, in regards to real estate industry, she understands the important role our housing market plays in America's economic growth and recognizes the societal benefits and wealth building opportunities that homeownership can bring, especially among minority households. So like I said, it goes into more detail about the sides and who's expected to vote for, and that it should go through fairly simply, but that's on housingwire.com if you want to see it.
So I remember Janet, and I remember kind of liking her for the most part because she was less controversial, but I can also remember a time when interest rates should be lowered that she didn't keep them, or maybe they should have been higher and she didn't. She kind of went against the grain a couple of times. And there was supposed to be fallout from it, which may be kind of what we're feeling today. I don't know. But
so here's the thing, like, because everything I'm reading, it's not this big fallout. They're going to be 4% tomorrow.
Right. Right.
It's not going to happen. It can't happen. But everything I'm reading, and this is like Zillow predictions, NAR predictions, economist predictions. Everything says pretty much under 3 for this entire year.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's
now it's
up,
2.9
right?
Already.
Yeah, that's up. So but it's hard to say, like, well, let's just keep it at 2.5 forever. Are people making their money back? Is the economy is falsely being boosted, right? So you kind of have to push them up? Isn't that kind of expected? And is it real? Huh?
Go. Well, I was. I didn't know you weren't finished with your thought. Sorry about that. Stepped on you, but
no, it's okay.
Back in the day, they did the $770 billion bailout. You remember that? Where they said, okay, if you guys are about to go in foreclosure, here's some money to save you from going into foreclosure. And a bunch of those investors that I was working with at the time, this was in 2008 and 2009, I think, they said, well, we're not going to buy until those people run out of money because right now it's a false bottom. You remember that?
Yeah.
So because of that, it just kind of prolonged the inevitable crash. And then the crash happened, and then people bought up the stuff, right? And the market kind of cleaned itself out.
But that cleaning out still took a couple years, though.
Several years. Yeah. Several years. So my question is with Yellen, I know she's not super controversial. She's not going to make large swings one way or the other, which I think is why both parties can like her.
Yeah.
Is because it's going to be a little bit more of the same. She is more old school, which I think is what Lawrence Yun was kind of getting to very kindly, as he said that she likes. She thinks houses are good for wealth building and are good for minorities and young people to buy a house. So I think she'll implement policies that will help people achieve that quote unquote classic American dream, which is good for real estate. And so I don't know. I'm holding my opinions to see kind of where she's headed, because I can't really tell, honestly. I feel like she's headed to increase the rates a little faster than we think, but I don't know that that's such a bad thing, because if you have unemployment sitting at almost full employment again, I mean, they say that 4 to 6.5 is full employment. Last time I checked, it was 6.7. So if you have that sitting there, then the Fed has a two-part mandate.
Well, and by the way, we have to
employment.
We have to remember too that the unemployment rate that we're at is during a pandemic.
Yeah. But they have a two-part mandate. One is to maintain full employment, and the other one is to prevent inflation. And what we've talked about on our show before, what happens is that rates get so low that people are like, oh, let's go buy all the things. And so they buy all the things, and producers can't keep up with that. And so they raise prices, and that's inflation. So do I think she's probably going to increase rates faster than most think? Yes, I think that's going to happen. And I think that's going to happen because it needs to happen, though. And so I'm not anti slight rate increase.
Right. And it just kind of has to happen, you know, and I think it was a great decision to keep them low, you know, and I think Trump fought for that. But now with all these programs, we want to give money here and there. Like, where's the money going to come from other than the American taxpayers? Like, it's got to kind of come from somewhere, and the economy has to be boosted somehow. And it's kind of I think you said it, the false bottom or a false boost, right? Like, it's been keeping it going. But it'll be really interesting to see when people can go back to work. And by the way, he does mention, so there's two things I want to say. Yoon said he hopes Yellen will place an equal emphasis on policy affecting commercial real estate, bringing vibrancy to local communities and turning raw land into developable lots. So that's big, because on that point, I had a friend reach out, and I talked to Chris, our broker, about this. He thinks that the commercial crash hasn't happened and won't happen for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, basically waiting to see how many people are actually going to return to work from home.
Right. And then, so the article finishes with, again, Housing Wire says, though Yellen doesn't have a reputation as an aggressive sheriff, she has flexed regulatory muscle in the past. In her last act as head of the Federal Reserve in 2018, Yellen slapped Wells Fargo with a $400 million penalty, punishing the bank for opening accounts in customers. So, that was a good one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. You can't do that stuff, kind of thing.
Yeah, she holds the corporation's feet to the fire, and she seems to have a pretty moderate outlook. So,
and it wasn't politically driven. She's like, that's a bad thing. No.
No, I think there was only one time, like I said, if I can remember right, there was only one time where I thought they should have done something slightly different than what she did, but it was a more aggressive stance the other direction that she took than I would have wanted. But other than that, I think she's just kind of more the same. So
it'll be interesting to watch
the market.
And it'll be interesting to see, you know, our predictions that we made. If you didn't see the prediction show, by the way, viewed over 200,000 times. I haven't looked. Is it 200,000?
Yeah, close. It's close to that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's close to 200,000 times. Our prediction show from the 30th of last year. You can go back and see. We had 4 guests on, and all 6 of us made predictions for this year.
Predictions. I mean, like fortune telling type of predictions.
We were pretty much all of us were pretty bold. It was pretty good.
That's right. All right. Thank you guys for joining the show. Thanks for sharing the show. We really appreciate it. We know that your comments is kind of what makes our show different, and that's why we like to have it live, and that's why we like to do. We could have just recorded a podcast and got it out there, but we enjoy the discussion, and we think most of the other listeners enjoy the discussion too. So thanks for joining us, Dan. Before we go, could you tell everybody where they can find you?
Right there, D Ludwig Rocks, over on Instagram. That's where I'm posting everything now.
Instagram, the other Facebook, and I'm on there too at Ray's Zorback, RAYZORBACK, so you can find me there. And thank you guys for joining the show. We'll see you next.
You need to go follow me and watch my heavy winds in Rancho video that I posted yesterday. It's good times.
That's right.
The beard was affected. Sorry, the beard was affected.
Like the GIF image.
Yeah, it was literally like, yeah. So thanks, guys. Love you.
All right, we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.